Hello,
Oh,
everybody.
hi. Oh, hello. How are
Welcome
you?
back.
How are you doing, Internet? You look good.
Uh, Welcome back to the Requiem of William Ravelowe, Prophecy and Sacrifice. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers, father role models, uncles, etc.
If you've been out there for a young person, we consider you a dad today. And we say to you, thank you for your service. It's my own first Father's Day myself, so I'm reveling in the glory of being able to sleep in on a lazy, warm Sunday. We're so glad you decided to join us for a story that is not about fathers, but instead about memories. Memories enforced by a highly toxic mother figure in the vampiric sense. All right, I'm done smooth DJing this.
Okay. So in the last episode of William Ravelowe, Prophecy and Sacrifice, we found ourselves in William's memories. It started off where we left off before we took the break with Nux dying. And
But not
when
really.
Nux, but not, well, no, he was really dying.
But he's not dead.
No, he's not dead.
Yes.
You both were able to get out of the memories in time. And uh, the keeper told you that you needed to have more than one anchor because the Josephine program in your head um, is stronger than they thought originally.
Hmm.
So Rose and Juliet hop on in to help you, and Nux too. And do you want to talk about what you remember from those memories?
You're gonna have to refresh me.
Um, so one of them, let me find my paper.
Pardon me.
Ah, here it is. So the first memory you plopped into was when Nux was put up on a cross as the cross was set on fire in New Orleans as a warning to Vidal.
Right.
You had the memories of the night your last night as human, the night you returned into a vampire. You have memories of waking up after being turned. Um, there were some memories of talking to the really old kindred in New Orleans, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And you also caught a glimpse of one of Juliet's memories where she actually was in New Orleans and talked to Sam too.
Which is interesting.
Hmm.
That brings up some questions like, is there something she left behind when she left these programs in me?
Juliet, not Josephine. Did I say
Oh,
Josephine? I meant Juliet.
maybe I misunderstood. It's a lot of J's.
A lot of J's. But Juliet talked to Sam.
Hmm.
And then you have memories of a couple viruses that were supernatural in nature that could affect supernaturals that ran rampant rampant
Rampant.
rampant in New Orleans. Um and one of them you fixed one of the memories that Mezzo actually helped you find the cure for the virus that was killing Artemis.
Before she
And
vanished.
yeah, but well, Mezzo had already been vanished, and you found her again in this memory.
No, vanished with a V. Not banished with a B.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Like we never saw her again?
Well, up until that point, you hadn't seen her again.
Right. I'm you know what? Never mind. Just keep going.
She's vanished again. You haven't seen her since then either.
Right.
Um, and you had a memory of when you first met Mezzo
Mhm.
back in your like early days as with your older coterie.
Mhm.
There was also important note, the memory you had of your last night with as a human, you were with Pearl at a bar before you went to Louis Armstrong Park, and then Josephine erased all of that from your memory and told you that you need to go to Louis Armstrong Park.
Mhm.
You had the memory of your first date with Pearl, where you saw a picture of her sire who looks just like you.
Right.
Um, there was some random memories sprinkled in there, like a frat party that Rose had gone to, Nux saying goodbye to some woman when he was human, and you rescuing Raphael Pope and bringing him to uh, James Matheson,
Yep.
who is one of your old coterie mates' sires.
Mhm.
And
And then it
it
turned out he was
ended. Yeah, oh yeah. Turns out Raphael Pope was Bilal's brood,
Mhm.
and he screwed up a lot of stuff for you in New Orleans. And then it ended with you confronting your brother, Howard Epps,
Right.
and um, you had to fix that memory too, where you didn't actually find him and Josephine together. Josephine told you where to find him, and he was upset, and he had just been turned into a vampire, and he wasn't having it. And the sheriff found you guys, Sheriff of New Orleans, and you convinced him to help Howard.
Right. Who I
Yes.
believed to be a Dragolescu Josephine had turned, but now, according to these memories, might
No, he still
be
is.
okay. I
He's
misunderstood then.
no, he still is. The memory. So what you remembered is you found Josephine with him, but you never actually found the like you found and in that memory you let Josephine go. You
Right.
didn't stop her, you didn't anything, you just let her go. That was the fake memory. The real memory was Josephine confronts you on the street, does some mind whammying on you, and tells you where to find Epps.
Gotcha.
But the fact that he's your brother has not changed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, she finds you on the street. She tells you he's your brother. Where before in your memory it was sort of just implied that he was.
Okay.
Um, but now you have the solid memory of yes, he actually is.
Okay.
And that's where we had left you.
So where are we now?
So, I forgot you said something to Epps about being able to change your destiny or something like that.
Something along those lines. It was that being turned is a new start and you can choose what this life is going to be and what it's going to be about.
Yeah, and then he asked you if you are able to do that too. And when he said that, the memory started to fade.
Right.
And you find yourself in a small bedroom. It's very modest. That's the word I'm looking for. There's just like a bed and a dresser and a table, and it's really small. And you see, you, Rose, and Juliet aren't taking on anybody in this memory. You're just standing there, but Nux is playing himself, and he's dressed in an old British World War II soldier's uniform, and he's packing up his suitcase. And you can hear his mother come in the room, and she's crying. And Nux just turns to her and says, "I promise I'll come back." And then you hear a voice say, "Seems familiar," as this memory starts to fade and you find yourself in your old bedroom in your home in Chicago when you were human.
Ooh.
And you're packing up your things to go to school in New Orleans.
Hmm.
And your mother was sick, right?
She was never terribly well.
Yeah.
Um, but mostly it was just she was a chain smoking, low income artist.
Um, so she comes in your room and hands you a scrapbook. And as you flip through it, it's just like drawings and pictures and stuff like memories from your childhood and things like that. And she hands it to you and says, "So you don't forget me while you're doing your studies in New Orleans."
Like I could forget you.
Just don't go, you know, trying to replace me with some other professor and you take it on as a surrogate mother.
Why would I need a surrogate mother? Whoops.
uh, you say that and you find yourself in the streets of New Orleans. You are walking through the familiar neighborhood of Storyville. Rose and Juliet are by you. They haven't taken on the persona of anybody. Nux isn't around, and you also have another ghost next to you, a ghost that was there in this memory, Evan Burrell. I don't know if you remember him.
Not
But
off the
for
top of my
those
head.
who were not there, Evan Burrell is he was a kindred. He was part of what was called the Storyville Coterie, and they were this secret little group of young kindred that Vidal used to feed off of. The Prince of the City used to feed off of because he couldn't um, feed off of humans anymore for other reasons.
Namely, blood potency.
Right. That was the reason.
He was very old.
That wasn't the reason, though.
I know. So,
Right. So, anyway, he had this group of, I think it was like 4 or 5 of them. Evan Burrell was one of them, and when he was human, he was, I think her name was Roxanne?
yep.
Yeah. He was in love with Roxanne, who was also part of the coterie. And he has died under mysterious circumstances, and his ghost has come to William because he heard that William can see ghosts and has asked you to help him take care of his coterie.
Which is, but specifically Roxanne, who he had a thing with.
Yes, specifically Roxanne. He wants to make sure she's okay. So that's how you found yourself wandering the streets of Storyville.
So, if I recall correctly, which could be the name of this entire freaking adventure chain, um, I was basically walking through Storyville, trying to get their attention because this particular crew would start like sort of jackling from the shadows if you were in their turf for too long, and then give a sort of "you need to leave" attitude. But I needed to find them, so it worked out fine for me.
Right, you needed to find them, but instead you found somebody else. Because out of the corner of your eye, in a dark, secluded alley, we had alleys in New Orleans, even though they don't really exist, but in our game
Oh,
they
boy.
did. You see a flicker of a small flame, and out steps your boy, Nux.
Now, did I know him at this time, or is this how we met?
Nope, this was how you guys met.
I genuinely don't remember how that went down.
Uh,
It's been many years.
yeah, it's been a long time. So Nux steps out and takes a drag of his cigarette, and he says, "It's not a really nice bit of town here.
I've noticed.
Someone your stature really shouldn't be here."
My stature?
Yeah, William always dressed in like nice clothes.
Nicer, yeah. Um, are you with the Storyville Coterie?
I'm with Storyville.
Take in the cigarette. Ordo?
Yeah, my name is Nux.
William.
I know who you are.
Seems everybody's one step ahead of me lately.
You're one of Donovan's new hounds.
That I am.
I'm one of Donovan's old hounds.
Meaning former or just more experienced?
More experienced.
Well, isn't everybody? Well, I've got to find some coterie that calls this place the ground. I don't suppose you could direct me to them.
Yeah, I can't do that for you, mate. See, 'cause it's my job to keep them safe.
I'm not putting them in danger.
Yeah, but you're not really supposed to be talking to them. So how about me and you just go for a nice little walk? He puts
Oh,
his arm around you and starts walking you out of Storyville.
what if I told you very honestly that they already were in danger and I'm trying to prevent that from becoming real harm?
Yeah, mate, I've been watching them for a really long time. They're gonna be fine.
Okay, in that case, I'll just hand this off to you and you can take care of it since you can probably see ghosts. Um, one of them died named
Oh, having his usual 45-minute drop off. uh,
You have been online for 45 minutes.
yep. Welcome back,
So, what was his name?
Evan Burrell.
Thank you. I believe one of their number died recently. Evan Burrell.
Thought you were like, what's his name? And I was like, you mean Nux?
No. The Evan Burrell. He must have. I think he died recently. I saw his
Yeah,
specter who won. I think he was romantically involved with Roxanne.
yeah.
Um,
He's standing right there.
looking.
His ghost is right there.
Oh, you can see them. Hi, Evan. This guy won't let me pass, so he's gonna take care of all this for you. Right, buddy? Slap him on the back and start walking.
So actually, that's not how it went down. You and Nux
I
became
know.
friends.
I
You
know,
and Nux became friends.
I'm fucking with the
So,
memory.
right. So, because you're trying to fuck with the memory, it rewinds back to you seeing Nux for the first time. Damn it, why you gotta fuck around?
Because the more I test this, the weaker it becomes, the more we develop our ability to screw with it.
And because you guys are now screwing with it again, it rewinds back to Nux
The ri-
lighting his cigarette. God damn it.
Hey, dude, this cigarette could last forever.
If only there was such a thing.
Unlimited blood sorcery, and we can't make an everlasting cigarette. Gets idea. Anyway,
Alright, so anyway. Uh, so what do we have here?
hello, I'm William Ravelowe. I'm trying to get a ghost thing.
Mate, you're killing me as it rewinds again.
Well, you were there. Did it happen differently from we chummed up?
Not that I remember, no.
How did you see heaven?
Because I can see ghosts.
Yeah. Well, it was right about, and I'm going to try to fast forward to the point where he said I can see him too.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
we can do that. See? We're learning. Damn it. Okay, so.
Oh, wait, hold on. Actually.
Oh no, and actually from Ashley.
Can you give me your do
Wits.
no, not wits. Resolve plus stamina.
Stamina.
Mm-hmm.
Am I including my resilience?
Sure.
9. I never expected that would be one of my best disciplines, but
Okay, you are able to fast forward.
cool. All right. So, I will fast forward to that part. I'm like,
Okay, so yeah, mate, look, I can see him.
well,
I'm
let's
not trying to step on your toes here. All right, I'm just
and
trying to do my job. You're a hound, I'm a hound. Why don't we go somewhere, talk this out?
that's fine by me. For what it's
You
worth,
remember the cigarette making you super uncomfortable because even though it's a tiny flame, it was
it's a
still a
flame.
flame, and you did not care for that back then.
And this isn't masquerade. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, sort of shying away from said lit cherry. I'm Look, I'm not trying to step on your toes either. I'm So does Donovan have you guarding this area? Like I'm following his lead. I'm not like resisting. I'm coming with.
Yeah, more or less.
What's the less?
It's more like a direct order from higher up.
So the prince then.
Yeah. And since you're talking to Evan over here, I'm pretty sure you know why.
I have an inkling. But it looks like death eliminates all bonds of blood. You realize this coterie isn't operating under their own choices, right?
Yeah, things are very complicated. You're gonna learn that sometimes you gotta pick and choose your battles. And from there, you find yourself falling. And you fall into the foyer of Josephine's huge mansion in like the countryside of uh England.
Now we're getting
And
somewhere.
um it's nighttime. You remember this as this is how you're remembering it, that the sun had just gone down. Uh so high noon for those who watch
Huh.
the Kindred the Embraced. Um
Sun's coming up.
and um Josephine looks at you and hands you a photo ID. So part of your training is you're going to have to observe humans, write down your observations, things like that.
Hmm.
I got you a job as a researcher at a museum.
Okay.
They already understand that you're somewhat eccentric and like to work at night. But so do a lot of them. Quiet, you know.
Does the ID say which museum?
Oh, it does. It's the Burp 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 Museum.
It's in London?
Specific, yeah, in London.
We'll
They
say
have,
the Royal Museum of London or some crap.
sure,
I
there we
don't know.
go. Royal Museum of London. um, but, uh, so while you're there, you're going to study art and notes and your colleagues. But I also want you to try to get a glimpse of the security cameras and watch the
Uh-huh.
humans who've been moving throughout the day. It's a better way to observe them, less attachment.
Is attachment a problem?
You don't want to get too attached to humans. Have fun.
Uh,
Okay, so fast forward. She kind of like shoves you out the door. Klaus, her big, huge man
Chauffeur.
servant, chauffeur. I mean, he's more than a chauffeur, but yes. Bodyguard, butler, chauffeur. Uh, takes you out into the car, drives you into downtown London to the Royal British Museum. And the memory fast forwards to uh, you sitting in the security office because the night watchman has gone to do his rounds, and you're watching some tapes. And as you're watching them, like you hear static in your ears.
So just to be clear, I'm there as oh, thank you. Um, so just to be clear, I'm there as a researcher, but I'm in the security offices watching people.
So the being there as a researcher was more of a ploy to just get you in the building. She's making it sound like she would prefer to have you do observing humans as a like through a video camera rather than in person.
Okay.
So it was really just a ploy to get you into the building, the
Have I like
researcher part.
at this point have I like dominated the people in the security office to be cool with a researcher being here, or does my ID
No,
suggest that
you snuck in while they went to do their checking of the rounds.
looking at the ID, it would have been a lot simpler if I was just a security consultant. So, okay. I'm not sure how I can mess with this to make it so that the headphones are playing what they're supposed to be playing. I screw with the volume.
It's not in the headphones. Because you're not wearing headphones. You're just watching
Oh,
the footage.
okay. Can I hear the footage or is it
No.
No. Okay.
It's a weird like interrupt of something around you.
I'm gonna rewind to when the static started and see if I can make a resolve plus composure to push through it.
8.
Uh, 7.
Okay. So you um as you're trying to like push through it, you um you can hear someone say like trying to talk, but it's kind of like broken up, and you hear like what, Ravelowe. And the more you try to focus and the more you try to push through it, you then hear a voice of a young man saying, "Are you William Ravelowe?"
Try to turn and look at the person who's saying it.
You turn and you see a ghost.
Yes. Who are you?
He's dressed as kind of like a janitor.
I am. You are?
My name is Mac. They call me Mac. Called
Who's
me
they?
Mac.
Fair.
Uh, my friends used to call me Mac.
Well, I'll call you that too then. So, can I help you?
Um, there's someone who told me, asked me to tell you to meet them at this pub.
Who's that?
I didn't get their name, but Royal Crown Pub at meet them at midnight.
Check my watch.
After you checked your watch, you look and he's gone. It's like 10:30.
Okay. Look up really quick on Alta Vista or whatever internet they had at the time. On whatever, I don't know, Minitel, whatever the hell is used in England at the time. Who is, how do I get there and how long would it take? Like, do I have to leave right now?
It'll only take a few minutes. It's actually walking distance.
Okay. Uh, great. I'll get back
So,
to work and then I want to experiment with something really quick. I want to try to freeze this memory. And if that works, I want to see if that liminal space like awakens any guardians or the Josephine program.
okay. What do you want to use anything in particular to try to freeze it?
Is it the same as fast forwarding?
Yeah.
Then it'd be resolve plus stamina, I think.
I was just wondering if there was anything else you wanted to try.
Right now, I'm trying to find out how it works. And if I can figure that out, then I might have an advantage if the time comes to confront it directly.
So you freeze it. Um, you also notice that in these memories, Nux, Rose, and Juliet aren't here.
That I can see anyway.
No, but usually they're there because they're your anchors. Like not as part of the memory, but like an outside
Guiding influence,
source.
like sort of
Yeah.
ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, okay then.
But you freeze it and it just freezes. And you can wait for a little while. um, but it just freezes.
I'm gonna try to imagine the walls painted a different color.
Um, it's not letting you.
Not letting me. Can I hone in on the source of resistance?
You get I mean, the source of resistance is in essence your anchor and your friends trying to get you to not screw around with things too much, but to try to hone in on what was mixed up and what's actually correct. Because your main purpose here is to fix your memories, and if and that's what your friends are here to try to help you do. So them just being anchors trying to keep everything stable won't let you just fool around with stuff.
I have to remember that. If the time comes that I need to be able to mess with my dreamscape, I may have to do it without anchors so that I have more control against what's inside me. Good to know. Okay. Um all right then. I will keep looking at tapes and stuff until time fast forwards me or whatever and I get to the pub.
Okay. So you looked through a few more tapes, but you couldn't stay in the security office for long because you knew that the security guard was going to come back from his rounds soon.
Right.
So instead, you decide to head out to the pub early. So you don't remember any of this. So while you're trying to force your way through what really happened, you're getting flashes of just sitting in front of like artwork and doing research. Um, but even now, the further you push through this broken memory, it makes those feel like they were a dream.
Can I All right, I want to experiment with this too. Can I sort of like mark this area of true memory in a way so that I can return to it?
Um, let's do a wits. Let's do wits plus composure for that.
Okay, that's 7.
So you're trying to like somehow mark this for the feeling that you're getting, or
Sort of mark this location where I'm going to the pub so I could sink back into the fake memories and come back to this safely.
um so as you're trying to mark it, you get a flash of Josephine's face, and then you can hear a scream. It's Rose's scream.
Can I tell where it's
But
coming
you're
from?
not able to like somehow mark it. It feels like it's coming from like deep within the recesses of your mind.
Oh, yeah, over there. Okay. Uh, Never mind then. Can I feel any of my anchors? Are they okay, or is it being taken out
Um,
on them?
you can feel them. They're not okay.
Can you run that by me again?
They're okay-ish.
Uh-huh.
They're not
Okay.
they're not dying if that's what you're asking.
Well, we're all dead already, so.
Well,
Huh.
they're not dying permanently.
Super.
They're You can feel them because they're still tied to you. Like it almost feels like strings will like radiate out from like if you like want to try to like feel out for one of them, like a string would radiate and let you like know that you're still attached to them. And like you can feel they are under a high stress situation, but in they're not in a situation you think they can't handle.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Uh, I will. I will try just a little more to push forward, and if it feels like they're suffering unduly because of it, then I'll stop. But I want to try to explore that false memory and screw with that.
Okay. So are you gonna push forward to walking to the pub?
No, I'm marking that if I can, and then
Oh,
pushing
you
into.
were not able to mark it.
Oh, never mind then. Okay, push forward to the pub.
Yeah, because when you tried, you saw Josephine's face. Not her real face, but the program Josephine's face.
Yeah,
And then her Rose scream. So, you get to the pub. Um, all of it is staticky. Or like it's like the static, but that you're breaking through it.
got you.
Like when you get to the pub, like you keep seeing like your office at the museum, but like it's like staticky and it keeps breaking through until you see the pub clearly, and as you scan the room, you notice a familiar face. Um, it's Juliet. She's sitting at the bar, and she seems to be minding her own business.
Well,
She
I
seems
don't,
to be minding her own business, but as you're trying to push through these memories, you're remembering that you got the distinct sense that she was somehow looking at you.
and I could tell she,
Sorry, what was that?
and I could tell she was kindred.
Yes, you could tell she was kindred.
Are there any other mortals in the bar aside from, I assume, a bartender, maybe some waitstaff?
Yeah, it's mostly mortals.
Crowded, sparse.
Sort of crowded. Medium
Okay.
crowd.
Is she the only kindred here?
Yes.
Have I got any sense of bloodline sympathy? Like she's a Dragolescu as well?
No.
Okay. Um, all right, then I will go to sit near her, not presuming she's the one who summoned me, but there could be mortal necromancers, but that does seem like the most obvious person. So I'll sit at the bar.
You sit at the bar and she turns and looks at you. Well, I always did like someone who was on time.
Here, I thought I was early.
To me, early is on time.
Hmm. Well, you know who I am.
My name is Juliet.
What can I do for you, Juliet?
Why don't we just sit and talk?
Suits me fine.
So, William, what brings you here to jolly old London?
I'm following my sire,
Hmm.
hoping to get some measure of instruction. So far, not an enjoyable experience.
I imagine it wouldn't be.
I take it you're local?
More or less.
What's the less?
I mean, I wasn't originally from here. I wasn't turned here.
Well, you've picked up the accent rather brilliantly.
Part of fitting in. As you're sitting there, Juliet turns and grabs your hand. You know this is not part of your memory or any kind of forgotten memory. And she just says, "We have to try to get through this memory quick. Nux and Rose can only hold her off so long."
Still don't see why we don't just fight her. Fine. Ask me a question that'll lead me to the point.
Um, so she's sitting there and she just, I I know this is going to be hard for a kindred, but I'm asking if you could just trust me on something.
Try me.
Your sire is not to be trusted.
That much I figured out.
You're actually in danger.
That much I know.
Okay, well, do you know about how your bloodline even came to be?
No.
Blue Head Massacre? Does that ring a bell?
No.
Okay, well, Dragolescu took 5 humans who were considered sensitive, a few kindred, and had his little group called the Blue Hand Coterie. She suddenly stops and looks around. Um, why don't you come with me?
Lead on.
As she grabs your hand, you suddenly feel like um that the world can't see you two. Like you
Nice.
suddenly feel shrouded by something.
I am not as good at that.
Well, maybe you can learn.
So,
So, um anyway, what Dragolescu did was him and his coterie diablerized kindred after torturing and killing those 5 mortals to try to create ghosts.
jeez.
And that's how the Dragolescu bloodline came to be. I'm
I
just
mean,
telling you this so that you can understand. Josephine was like his protege.
that sounds on brand. Look, this isn't a what about, but that sounds about as wicked as the birth of any other bloodline or group of kindred I've heard of or can imagine. Is there anybody out there who isn't based in a past of horror at this point?
Well, you. I have a past of horrors, but not horrors I've done.
Well, we're all survivors of the trauma of embrace. How exactly do you know so much about my sire?
Because it's her who made my past traumas.
I'm very sorry. Are you looking for
Um,
revenge?
no. I just don't want her to see. I don't want to see her do to you what she did to me.
I'm not sure how to ask this without prying. What did she do to you?
As you're saying that, you suddenly feel yourself slammed onto a hard dirt floor. Um, there is barely any light except light coming from like a tiny hole in a steel door. From what you can tell, this is a very small, like 4 foot by 4 foot room. Dirt floors, brick walls, steel door. When you look down at what you're wearing, you see an old British soldier's uniform.
Oh shit.
Suddenly, the door is flung open and you are grabbed by two strong hands, and you are being forced to walk down a long, dark hallway among other men wearing British uniforms. Two of them are Rose and Juliet, but they're it's not really them. They're
Yeah, I
playing the
think.
part, kind of like how you're playing a part, because this is
Yeah.
obviously not your memory. You weren't born then.
No, this is Nux.
Yep, and you do see Nux. You are all being forced down this hallway through kind of like a winding maze, and you find yourselves all in a really, really bright and clean smelling lab. You're all standing there in a line. There's about 10 of you. And a door across the room opens, and out steps Josephine. And she walks in and says, "Hello, my lovelies. Are you ready to show me which one of you is worthy?" She turns and looks at Nux and says, "How about we start with you?" Two men grab Nux and strap him down to a table. A few other men try to like fight to stop them from taking him. And as they're fighting, you can see that Juliet picks up like a sharp instrument and starts to lean towards him. And then suddenly,
You mean Josephine?
yeah, sorry, Josephine. Damn Jays. Josephine picks up a sharp instrument and starts to lean toward him to start to, obviously do some experimenting. And you hear Juliet. No, sorry, not Juliet. You hear Rose scream, "No!" And the memory shifts. You find yourself in the same lab, but you're just there as like an observer now. So is Rose. Um, Juliet has been tied down to the table. And Nux is sitting in a chair. He's been tied down, and he like kind of like jerks and like and he's like coughing up blood. And you see Josephine lean over, puts her hands on like the armchair and like lean over to Nux. And she says, "Well, you really screwed up this time, didn't you? You know the drill. Except it's not you that's going to feel pain this time." Two men, she like pushes herself back from him. Two men come, unstrap him, and they push his head forward towards Juliet, who is tied to the chair. And Josephine says, "Make her one of us, or we'll just kill her. And maybe next time you won't screw up." Um, Nux is like screaming, like, "No, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. You can't, I can't." And he's like crying and coughing up blood. And Juliet just turns to him and says, "You know it had to be this way." And suddenly the memory starts fading again. And as it's fading, you can hear the voice of the Tismanu. And he's saying, "You have to try and get control."
By changing it?
Um, all you heard is, "You have to try and get control." So now you are uh you're standing in one of those cells again. Nux is crumpled up on the floor. He's like really just beaten up. Clearly not kindred yet. The door opens and Josephine stands in the doorway and says, "It's your lucky day. You've passed all of my tests, and now, dear boy, you are going to transcend." Two men grab Nux, pull him down the hallway,
Are these men
throw
wearing
him
uniforms?
into. Yep.
What kind?
They're like scientists.
Okay. Is there any sign that they're British? I mean, she is.
No. Well, okay, so sorry, no. So there are scientists around. There are men who are wearing dark black uniforms.
No insignia, no indication of nation or allegiance.
No, but from what you know of Josephine, you can take a wild guess as to whose allegiance they have.
Yeah, but I'm playing into the investigatory nature.
Yeah. No, they don't. Um, so they take Nux to a separate room. It's not really a lab. It's kind of just an empty room with tiles and tiled walls. And you can it's sort of dark in there. There's like a flickering light. And Nux is thrown in the center of the room. You guys are just there because you're observing. And you can hear snarling coming from like a corner of the room. And this really big, like mountainous kind of a man who has claws, but that's pretty much the only form of like uh animal, lunges at Nux and just bites into his neck.
I don't see where I'm supposed to take control of this.
And you are then transported into back to the lab. Nux is sitting in the chair. He like wakes up again and he looks like gaunt.
Is there a mirror that I can see that with? I mean, I'm seeing through his eyes, right?
Oh no. Nux is playing Nux. Nux is reliving all of this. You're
Okay.
observing with Josephine and I'm sorry, with Juliet and Rose, unless one of you is in his memories. Right now you're just observing. Juliet grabs your hand and says, I think the Josephine program has gotten to Nux. We're gonna have to try to calm him down. Um, so Nux looks like he's just kind of like gaunt, and you hear Josephine say to him, "Well, you're just gonna have to try harder next time." And one of the scientists chops off one of his hands. Two big men come in, drag him back to his cell. Josephine has a cigarette and pack of cigarettes and a lighter in her hand, and she tosses it at him and says, "You're going to need those." And the door slams shut, and you are then transported.
For heaven's sake.
As you're being transported, you hear Juliet yell, "You have to calm him down." You're back
Uh,
in that same lab. There are two humans tied down, with Juliet and Nux being held by prisoners, and Juliet is trying to whisper to him to be like, "This is just your memories. You have to get control. Please get control."
can I try to freeze the memory? All right.
As you're working on trying to freeze the memory is playing out in front of you. And there's a machine, and tied up to the machine are two Nazi soldiers. And the machine is like draining their blood, and it starts to like whir, and this like blue crazy light starts to like emit from it and pulse. and you can feel like a woo, woo. And all of a sudden you see ghosts of two um uh British soldiers appear. And Josephine starts to gain control of them and forces them to possess the two people strapped down on the table. Not the ones that were tied to the machine, the other two.
Can I alter any of this?
You're trying. As you're trying, and it's like the memory starts to like fragment and break, and you're trying to like push out of it. And the last thing that you see is Josephine putting her hands on both Nux and Juliet's shoulders, and she says, "Now, just like we talked about." And she pushes them to the two possessed people, and right then you're able to break it, and it's like a mirror shatters. And it's like a mirror shatters, and you find yourself back at Josephine's mansion in the countryside. You're sitting in her huge library, just like reading up on some like Ordo history. And she walks in and she says, "Well, you've done very well with observing the humans. So now we're going to shift your attention to observing kindred. It's a little harder to notice change with them. But that's what I want you to look for. Change among the kindred.
I wasn't aware we chased the dragon's tail when it came to our own kind.
It's part of it.
Hmm.
Off you go."
Could I trouble you with a question?
What's the question?
I don't see the point in rushing all of this. Observing a thing alters a thing. That's a basic scientific principle. If we are observing these things, we are altering the outcome by virtue of our observation, even with our gifts, no matter how much effort we put toward it. The results are skewed by observation. But even then, it's a minuscule change compared to the gross effects that we are putting upon them.
Um, you're feeling a little bit of static. Like seeing the static.
Implying that I didn't say this, or implying that
After you say that, you start to see static, and you can't really hear what she's saying.
resolve plus composure, wits plus composure. It's the same either way.
7?
Yeah. All my mentals are 4, all my socials are 3.
Okay. So you try to push through it, and you said the last thing that you said, what was it that you said?
We're pushing through it unnecessarily.
Okay, so you hear yourself say, "We're pushing through it unnecessarily," and you start to kind of like slow down, and you feel now yourself in a trance. And you see Josephine locked eyes with you and saying, "You're going to just stop pushing against what I'm asking you to do. And you're going to be a good boy and just do what I say." And then suddenly you're back to normal and you're like, "Well, I just thought it was a point I should bring up." And you walk out the door.
I'm going to try something. Try to freeze time there.
Okay. Okay, so you're able to freeze it.
Turn around and face the program again.
The program isn't there. The Josephine program's not there.
Right. But the memory is.
Memory is what you're fixing.
I'm thinking maybe the memory operates, like connects to the program. So if I say and do something, it might be observed. I'm trying to figure out how much omniscience the program has. Is it aware of everything I'm aware of, or is it like a distinct entity inside my mind that I could theoretically sneak past or subvert? So is there a sense that I'm alone right now, or that I'm being watched?
There's a sense that you're alone right now. I mean, when you look around, like, your anchors aren't even visible right now.
Change the tiles on the floor.
It won't let you.
What won't let me?
Your mind won't let you.
Why not?
Because, like I said before, your anchors are still present in your mind. They're not going to let you change something unless it's to fix a memory, and changing tile isn't going to fix your memory.
Okay.
You're here to do the simple task of fixing your memory.
Yeah, but ultimately it's going to lead to some kind of confrontation. And when that time comes, I need to be able to affect the subjective nature of what I feel and what I remember and what I see. If I can differentiate between a memory and a fiction that I control, the difference between what's remembered and what's dreamed, the objective and the subjective, assuming you can call memory subjective at all, then I might be able to exert more control when the time comes.
Well, you're already figuring out what feels real and what doesn't feel real.
But can I make something feel real to fool the program?
No, it's not. They're not. The anchors aren't going to let you do that. Because the worry is that if you start trying to change things the way you like them, that you're going to just do the same kind of damage that Josephine's already done.
I get that. I'm not there yet. Okay.
That's not to say that once you have built up your memory palace and earned the mind of the devouring worm and all that, that you can't go then and do things like that.
Yeah. For the
But
moment, I'm
yes, for the moment, you have to stick.
well, I feel like testing these boundaries will help me later, but yes, I understand. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, on the next memory.
So this is the next memory.
Okay. Unfreeze then.
Okay. So you unfreeze it. It rewinds slightly back to where what you remember now as being something planted in your head that you said, where you just said, but that's just me trying to sort things out. And then you walk out of the house, get in the car, and are driven to town. Where you remember just going to like a local restaurant that you know Kindred like to frequent, just so that you could watch from afar. So you remember that. But as you're walking towards that restaurant, you feel the fuzz again, like the fuzziness. Oh, Kevin. It's 45-minute drop off.
As I'm walking toward that restaurant.
As you're walking towards that restaurant, you feel like the fuzz, like the fuzzy static. I'm sorry, you see it. You see the fuzzy static. Um,
Anywhere in particular?
yeah, in front of you, like in the direction that you're walking.
Okay. I guess resolve plus composure to try to push through it.
You're having a hard time pushing through it for some reason. Um, it's like you're trying to push through it, um, but instead of pushing through it, you keep getting pulled because you keep hearing Nux screaming. And you hear Rose telling him he needs to focus and calm down.
Can I try to follow the thread back to where he is to, like, secure him?
So you're trying to like reach out and find Nux?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to try to bookmark this memory?
Well, apparently that doesn't work, but I'll give it a shot again.
It just didn't work that one time because you didn't roll
Okay, then.
well enough. Okay. This time you are able to sort of like earmark it. Like you want to be able to come back to this memory, so you sort of try to make a mental imprint of everything that's around you, what you're feeling, what you're wearing, what you remember. And then you try to reach out and find Nux. And oh wait, sorry, hold on, wrong one. Okay. So as you're trying to like reach out and find Nux, you find yourself like being like pulled to him like a magnet. And you can see like all sorts of things like rushing past you, like um visions of the hurricane, visions of talking to Pearl, visions of your mom, visions of your old coterie, just all sorts of memories flying past you as you try to search and find Nux. And you find yourself fall. It's like you get to the edge of like nothingness and you fall forward, and when you land on your feet and like your hands hit the dirt, and you're back in that weird desert place where uh the sky looks like night but the area looks like day, and you can see sort of off in the distance the Josephine program being fought by Juliet and Rose, with Rose yelling for Nux to just like you know, get with it, calm down. These are just memories.
Okay.
And then you can hear the Tismanu saying, "You need to help him."
All right. I'm going to go over to where this is all taking place. Just rush over. This place isn't a memory.
No.
This is a thought construct.
Yep.
Okay.
This is kind of like if your brain was a computer, this is the file that houses the Josephine program.
Yep. Which means here's where I might be able to just make things change. Okay.
So Nux is kind of like scattered away from the group, and he's just kind of like sitting with like his hands over his head, and he's like rocking back and forth and like just like crying and screaming.
I'm going to walk as calmly as I can to sit in front of him.
Okay.
Just eye to eye with him.
Okay.
Reach in my coat and pull out a pack of cigarettes that I never carry.
Okay. Yep, you're able to do that.
Light him with his lighter. Take a deep drag and blow it in his face.
He like looks up at you.
Turn it around. Offer it to him.
She got in my head.
We're in all our heads, buddy. Put the
He takes the
cigarette.
cigarette. He takes the cigarette. Sorry, I wasn't planning this, so I'm trying to find music.
It's already happened. It's over. So let me take a second to take you away from what was. Let's talk about what is.
The battle behind you starts to kind of like grow quiet. Like, you still know what's going on. Rose and
Like it's
Juliet are able to hold their own against the Josephine program, but
What kind of shoes are you wearing?
black ones?
Leather? Canvas?
Yeah, my leather boots.
Yep. Those aren't army boots, are they?
No,
Where'd you buy them?
I don't remember.
10 years ago? 5 years ago?
No, not longer than that.
Yeah. What brand of cigarettes are those?
Marlboro. Can't say that with his accent.
Mm-hmm. Did you smoke American in the war?
I didn't. No, I didn't smoke.
Yeah. In fact, your first pack was given to you by this demonic bitch we're trying to get one up on.
Yeah. It was a
So,
punishment.
one that you're still inflicting on yourself, not her.
No, she knew. She knew.
Do you know where you are?
Um, in your mind, not mine.
Yep. And past that, you're on a submarine. Of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we in the desert?
But this is not Oreo Desert, no.
No, it is not. This is what we're fighting. And it's a little piece of who we're going after.
Right.
First step is striking back. This isn't where she wins. This isn't even her. This is less than a ghost. This is mind games, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Alright, he throws the cigarette and like stands back up.
Hoist up next to him. So, one by one, we face down the shit that she's done to us. Memories. We see them. We accept them. We move forward. We don't have to like them. We don't have to approve them, but we have to admit they happened. And from there, we make plans on what we're actually going to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about the future? What are we going to do when we get our hands on her?
Gonna make that bitch pay.
Yeah. Right now, we're reclaiming ground. And when all things are equal, I don't think she's got a shot.
Right. All right.
Sure.
Let's do this.
Damn right. I try real hard not to kill people, but I get the weird feeling Nazis just ain't people.
Yeah. I didn't think so. All right. So you stand up and suddenly the fight comes rushing toward you. Rose is fighting Josephine. Josephine has a sword. Rose also has a sword, and they are fighting it out. As soon as Juliet sees that you two, like, she's kind of like just standing there, like kind of meditating to herself, and as soon as she sees that you've gotten Nux calm, she holds out her hands, and this like weird blue energy just shoots out of her fingers and hits the Josephine program. And then suddenly, like from the program, it like bursts out into a white light, and you hear Juliet say, "Hold on to your last memory." And you find yourself back in the streets of London.
Still staticky?
Yep.
Push
But
through.
Nux and Rose are with you now.
There we go. All right. Let's carry forward.
All right. You are able to push through this static easily now. Now that your anchors are less occupied. And you realize that when you got out of the car, you started walking like you were going to this restaurant, but as soon as you knew the car was like out of sight so that it couldn't see you anymore, that Klaus wouldn't see you, you shift and turn and start walking down an alley, and you go find this door that you knock a specific knock sequence on, and it opens. It's like an underground, like gambling den.
Ooh.
And as you're trying to remember what actually happened and push through all of these memories and everything, you remember that you came here because you were gonna meet Juliet. As you're starting to remember that after she told you that she wanted to help you and didn't want you to turn out like Josephine, that you decided to proceed with caution and see what Juliet could tell you about Josephine and the different things she could offer to you. And throughout that time, you remember that there was a memory of you guys walking down by the water at night, that you took her dancing, and that you guys even had your first moonlit kiss in Kensington Gardens.
Oh my.
Oh my. And you have come here not to really observe Kindred, but to meet Juliet.
Was I resisting Josephine's programming with that?
So you can't, like, you remember that you've unraveled these memories, but you haven't gotten to the point yet where she's erased Juliet from your memory.
Okay. Okay. I'm absorbing the holy shit that happened.
Mm-hmm. So you find Juliet is actually she's just sitting in one of like the lounge areas waiting for you, and when you get there she stands up and she kisses you.
Not unlikable.
You hear Nux in the background go, yeah, okay.
Anyway,
So this is what was happening. This is what was happening.
news to me, buddy. If it makes you feel any better, I'm pretty sure I didn't know the two of you were a thing.
Nope, you didn't know I existed yet.
No, I knew you existed. I just didn't know the two of you were a thing.
No, you didn't know me yet.
Oh shit, that's right.
And also, to be fair, Nux, we were never exclusive.
William has joined Polycule. Okay. So,
Okay. Um. So, have you by any chance found Josephine's notes from when she was doing some work in World War II?
no. No, I'm supposed to be observing kindred.
Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing, but don't you remember we agreed? You remember that you actually agreed to try to help Juliet get those notes? If you could see if you could find her journal, because like you, Josephine is a meticulous note taker. And Juliet told you a little bit about things that Josephine did to her during the war while she was held captive. And she asked you if it was possible if you could find those notes, because if she could figure out exactly why those things were done, then she might be able to figure out what it is that Josephine has in store for you.
Did I look?
You don't remember looking in this moment, in this memory, but also in general.
I um I don't remember that. I do remember looking. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Um, I'm sure we can find a different way to figure out what it is she's up to.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, I mean, there's got to be a different way. Suddenly, you hear an evil cackle. You hear Josephine's cackle. You keep hearing the echo of Juliet saying, "There's got to be a different way. There's got to be a different way." And you find yourself in an office-like room. And it's night. And this room is covered with the walls are covered with bookshelves and books. And when you look out these windows, um, the way the walls are kind of like stone. It's almost like you're in some kind of weird castle. And you, Nux and Rose, are like ghosts as you watch Juliet um, searching through a desk. And you can hear footsteps. And she looks up, grabs some papers, tucks them in her pocket, and starts trying to climb out the window. And a door opens. And Josephine stands there with two big goons behind her wearing those black, like, World War II type soldier uniforms. And she says, "Well, well, well. What have we here?" And Juliet just turns around, looks at Juliet, and then looks at you.
Looks at Josephine.
Sorry, yes. Juliet turns, looks at Josephine. And then she turns and she looks at you. And she's staring at you, and suddenly everything goes dark around you. And it's like everything gets like sucked into this void. And you find yourself standing in the basement of a hospital where you have chased Sarah Cobbler and Josephine because they unleashed another deadly virus into your city, and you have finally had enough of Josephine's crap. And you have a gun aimed at her. And she's just standing there, cool as a cucumber, smiling.
This isn't going to work. Pull the trigger.
You pull the trigger and it rewinds it.
Why are you doing this?
Dear boy, you never understood anything that I tried to teach you or anything that I tried to accomplish.
Everything you try to teach me requires cruelty.
That's one way of looking at it, but you were never able to see it from a different perspective. You have become such a disappointment.
Can you imagine how I feel? All the time in the world, and you spend all of it trying to rush using other people as a ladder.
You feel from behind you, Rose kind of like touch your shoulder. Um, and it's weird because as you're talking to Josephine, you're saying what you said in the memory, and as far as you can tell, this memory hasn't been altered. There's no static, there's no anything to indicate that Josephine did anything to you in this memory. But it's almost like you're become two people, where it's you in the memory and then your mind watching the memory. And while you're watching yourself yell at Josephine and whatever, you notice that Sarah Cobbler is looking utterly horrified. And not because she's caught. You can see that she's almost trying to inch away, but every time she tries, she stops herself. And you can see that she constantly keeps glancing towards a door that's off to the side that you didn't notice before. And then suddenly you're back in it with the gun pointed at Josephine and Sarah Cobbler.
But hey, who needs me? You've got the lovely Miss Cobbler to help you.
Oh, there are still uses for you, dear boy. It's a shame that what the uses aren't what I originally thought they were going to be.
Oh, yes, if only we could all be sociopathic puppets.
Oh, William, do you really think you're a real boy? Even now, as you stand, with all of your anger and your hatred toward me, blaming me for all of your little problems, you still can't pull the trigger. Why do you think that is? Um, so when she says that, you feel like this like you don't remember feeling this, but because it's not necessary it wasn't necessarily like prominent back when you were actually experiencing this memory, but because Rose did something to help you become hyper aware of the situation, you're realizing that there was something in your mind that was like arguing with itself. Like, pull the trigger. You can't pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. You can't pull the trigger.
Turn the gun to Sarah Cobbler. Does Sarah respond?
So when you pull the gun on her, Um, she doesn't respond, but it kind of rewinds back to right before you pulled the gun on her. 'Cause
Shit.
you never actually aimed it at her. You always had it on Josephine.
Look at Sarah. Why are you doing this?
You, you wouldn't understand.
Try me.
Um, so again, with that moment of clarity that Rose helped you get, when you were in that moment, you were too angry to really notice a lot. But as you're pulled out again to try to like notice, you can see that Sarah Cobbler is trying to get you to look at this door.
Look at the door.
It looks like just a door to like a boiler room or something. And then you're put back in the memory, and she's like, it's there's no way that you could possibly understand any
Yeah.
of this right now
It's funny
because
how everybody keeps saying that to me, and yet I keep putting the pieces together sooner or later.
but you haven't put all the pieces back together.
So help me.
William, you really think intimidating poor, feeble Sarah is going to fix your problems?
I haven't begun to intimidate. I'm appealing to what little humanity might be left in her, which, by the way, is the one part of the kindred condition you don't seem to understand. No predator exists without some degree of ecological symbiosis.
Oh, William.
You'd have us stay parasites. We can be more. We can do better. We have to be better.
Oh, yes, I completely agree. But your version of better isn't really better, is it?
Your version of better is an evolutionary cul-de-sac.
You stink of humanity. You're not human anymore, William.
Then why is humanity a necessary component for our continued operation?
It doesn't always have to be.
I've seen what Wassail does to our kind. We disintegrate.
Is that what you think?
I think you're talking to me with language, and that's a hell of a lot more than I've seen the beast ever do. Even you have some whisper of humanity struggling inside, and if I could fan those flames to consume the thing you've become, don't think I'd hesitate for a second.
Still so much to teach you. Still so much for you to learn.
Oh, yes,
And
falling
don't
into a
worry, William. You'll learn eventually. And suddenly the memory fades. And the last thing you see is Sarah with a look of almost like, please help. Something you didn't notice before.
something I wasn't allowed to notice before.
Because you were consumed by your rage. And that's where we're ending it. I'm ending a
Goddamn.
little bit early. I'm sorry. It didn't go as long as I thought it was going to go. But I think I
Whoa,
went over last time, so
that
it
was
all
cool.
balances itself out.
Oh, sure, sure. No, that's cool. Got a good scene in there at the end.
Yep. Trying to give you a feel for just how evil Josephine really is by showing you what she did to poor Nuxie boy.
Oh, I had a feeling, but yeah, no. That lady, she gotta go.
So you didn't hate her before.
Oh, I hated her. There's so much more wood for that fire.
Yes. I'm just fanning the flames now.
You ain't wrong. Okay.
Uh,
Well, hot
anyway,
dog. Hope
yes.
y'all
Well,
enjoyed it.
anyway, yes, we hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to tune in 2 weeks from today for the return of Artemis.
Assuming that we don't have some other crisis pop up and
Right. We
steal us away.
apologize. Yes, we apologize. I have been having some hard family things to deal with. So
We've all had a big heaping spoonful of reality shoved down our throats for the past few
weeks.
months, and it's made it hard to have a regular schedule, but we are doing
But we're
and will
working
do
really
better.
hard to get there.
Yes. Uh,
So, yes.
Meantime,
And
hit us
tune
up
in
on
this
social.
Tuesday.
You go
Sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No, you
Sorry,
go
yeah,
ahead.
this Tuesday is going to be Jerry at Twitch, Meeting of the Minds. Rejoin Edie, Mavis, and Birdie as they discuss the next plans they have for their Jerry at Twitch show.
And also, feel free to tune in to any of our social media accounts. You can see them listed so that you can let us know what you'd like to see again. Apparently, that Ravenloft one off we did was pretty popular. No reason that can't keep going. And we can have more shop talk, crit chicks, you name it. This is your channel as much as ours, so feel free to tell us what exactly you'd like to see. We love your engagement, and we love
Yes.
giving you what you want. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you from there.
Also, don't
Anything?
forget to check out our website.
Yes, because we have a website.
Yeah. All of
And
these
check out.
things can be found in the About section.
We will have a short and long version of this video up before too long. And don't forget to check out that Spotify playlist that'll tell you the music that was in the listen along at the bottom of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, have a great Father's Day, everybody.
Yep.
We love
Have a
you
great
all.
Father's
Keep
Day.
wearing masks.
Yeah. And get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. Some of you want to go
Uh,
outside. I'm fine, but
uh,
all right. We'll see
all
you
right,
later, all.
everyone. Take care. Be well.